"Hey, Umbrella Boy, why are you the leader?" As the boy said that, he looked at Quinn's wristwatch and blurted out a laugh. "You should be down on your knees begging for me to show you mercy, boy." Quinn had a fake smile on his face, hiding the anger behind it. "Why would I beg with someone weaker than me?" At that point, the boy was too aggravated. He was already annoyed at the fact that a level 1 even tried to talk back to him. The boy used his super speed powers to launch off his feet at amazing speed, going straight for Quinn. "You should have just said sorry," Sia said, watching from behind. The speed was impressive, and was even faster than Quinn at top speed, but there was one skill where speed meant nothing. He looked into the boy's eyes. "Day's skill successful?" Quinn had used the skill at the right time, making the boy stop right in front of him. "You broke my friend's arm, and so it's only right I break yours," Quinn said, as he grabbed and pulled one arm forward while slamming his fist down on the forearm. Quinn had tried his best to contain his strength when dealing with the blow, but it was still too strong with his gauntlets equipped. Unlike Peter, the bone had snapped and pierced the skin. Howls of pain were heard immediately. His friends were shocked. They didn't know what happened, but it looked like the boy had stopped just in front of Quinn and let him hit. Was he too cocky, they thought? Maybe because it was a level 1, he was trying to give Quinn a chance, not realizing he had some strength or weak ability. As soon as they saw their friend injured, though, each of them drew their weapons and prepared their ability, while Quinn's group had done the same. But Vorden wasn't too happy about the current situation. For right now, he hadn't copied any useful ability he could use. Sia was a little nervous, since this was the last outcome she had expected, but right now she was on Quinn's team and would help her team out if a fight was to break out. The two groups looked like they were ready to clash. Before they even got the chance, a loud bang was heard. When they looked over in the direction, they could see that Dell had placed his large shield down, hitting it to the ground. The two groups were only around 50 meters from the outskirts. The scream was so loud that it had caught Dell's attention, and he immediately came rushing over after checking there were no beasts around. "Enough!" he shouted. "This event is about working together. Although it is a competition, this is only to encourage you to work harder rather than slack off. You are not to fight against each other." Dell then looked at the boy's arm, which had been broken. "Take him to the center. I'll try to see if there is anyone with a healing ability that can help him out. As for you guys," Dell said, pointing at Quinn and the others. He still hadn't forgotten both Vorden's and Quinn's faces. They were the two students who had made him risk his life in the redo portal world. "For severely harming another team's teammate, you shall be deducted 50 points for whatever total score you receive on today's assessment." "But they attacked us first," Layla complained. "I see no injuries on any of your party members," Dell replied. When they went to look at Peter, they found out it was true. Peter's arm had already healed, and it didn't look like he had even been hit. With that, the group was to take their punishment and carry on with the task. "Come on, we need to be more aggressive if we still want to come out on top while we're already at a disadvantage," Quinn said. The team nodded and got to work again. The group was 50 points behind now, which was the same as them finding 10 plants. That one argument over a single plant had cost the team a lot. But Sia tried not to smile. How could these guys be crazy enough to think that they could come back from a deficit like that? However, crazy wasn't bad. Sia liked crazy. Although there was still one thing she couldn't understand. It seemed like everyone in the group was listening to Quinn's orders. Not only that, but when he was being aggressive with the other team, not a single one of them had stepped in. Was it because they knew what the result was going to be? She thought. No, it can't be. I'm probably just overthinking it. The battle for points was fierce as students continued to run around the area, scanning every item in sight. "Damn, this has been scanned already," a student complained. "Yes, there's another one here that's 2 now," another yelled out. Some of the weaker groups decided to stay together as they went around. Although this stopped other teams from snatching points from them, their progress was relatively slower than those who roamed alone. The stronger groups decided it would be best to split up. This way they were able to cover a wider range, while the other groups decided to do a mixture of something in between. Even though the group thought that Dell was being harsh in his punishment, it wasn't truly the case. He had planned to do something similar beforehand, but wasn't quite sure how to do it until the incident gave him an excuse. Quinn's group had an extra person, so they were at an advantage compared to others. But since there was only one scanner, it was hard to say how much influence an extra member could give. But after seeing Vorden and Quinn's faces once more, his emotions got the better of him as a teacher, and he decided to give them quite a setback. Out of the strategies implemented by different groups, to catch up to the others, Quinn's group decided to do a mixture of the two. They decided that they would travel around in pairs. Quinn and Peter, Layla and Vorden, and lastly, Fex and Sia. In the beginning there was some disagreement about the pairings, but eventually they agreed on this setup. At the end of the day it would be better for Peter to be with Quinn, and Vorden refused to team up with Sia, so that left him with Layla and Fex with Sia, to make the relative strength of each group about the same. It was important for them to have one strong member with a support-type member. Although Layla and Sia could have gone together if they were to confront a beast, or a similar situation happened with Peter, there wasn't much that they could do. The group had already split up, and while everyone was off looking for some new items to discover, Quinn noticed something peculiar. There were 10 groups, yet nearly every group had a single member that acted as a type of mule, a person designated to carry their belongings. After a closer inspection, he also noticed that these mules were people who had the lowest levels in their group. Nevertheless, they would still wander off and look around, as instructed by their team. Wouldn't this be the perfect chance? Quinn thought. Right now they weren't in school, and many of the students had separated from each other. If he was to take a sample of their blood and mind control them afterwards to forget what had happened, no one would ever know what he had done. It was the perfect crime in such a perfect situation. "Pio, over here!" Sia shouted. Peter then dashed off in the direction that Sia had yelled, but Quinn didn't follow. Instead, he set his eyes on a target. A lone female student had been designated to carry her team's luggage. She seemed to be disheartened by the whole thing and was searching through the trees and vines with a crestfallen face. It was obvious that she didn't feel like she was doing anything substantial, or that she was even a part of the team. She bent down to look at a certain plant behind the tree. When she lifted her head again, Quinn was standing in front of her. He didn't say much because he needed to act as quickly as possible. Although they were covered by the trees and vines, there was always a chance that someone could see him. Quinn grabbed her hand as fast as he could and made a small scratch on her palm. Her blood was now on the tip of his gauntlet. After placing it on his tongue, the system message appeared.
Hi, Quinn here. Wondering what happens next? If you want to jump the queue and unleash all episodes, click on the link here and install the Pocket FM app.